Hello. The building of a new cathedral alongside the Anglo-Saxon minster at Winchester began in 1079 under the supervision of Bishop Walkerlin, a former royal chaplain to William the Conqueror. Winchester at the time was the richest bishopric in England, and Bishop Walkerlin's cathedral was one of the largest buildings on the planet. After London's Old St. Paul's, quite possibly the largest structure built in Christendom since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Approaching 500 feet long and around 80 feet wide, and reputedly with 10 towers. The outline of the old Anglo-Saxon minster the new cathedral replaced has been picked out in modern brick. A high water table in the Itchen Valley made this a problematic site for such a massive structure. An entire oak wood was felled in just 3 days to provide timber to be driven into the waterlogged peat for foundations. Swithun, a 9th century Anglo-Saxon bishop and the patron saint of Winchester, had at his request been buried outside the west door of the old minster. On his feast day, 15th of July in 971, his remains were moved inside. Miraculous cures were reported when this took place, and the occasion was also notable for heavy and persistent rain, giving rise to the popular folklore that if it rains on St. Swithun's Day, it will rain for 40 days. Swithun's body was translated again into the new Norman cathedral in 1093. Under later rebuilds, most of the Norman Romanesque building was replaced, but there are elements remaining in the transepts and in the crypt, which now hosts a life-size lead statue of a man thoughtfully studying the water held in his cupped hands. The figure is by the celebrated sculptor Anthony Gormley, who based the cast on his own body. Changes to the Romanesque structure began in the 13th century. A new decorated Gothic East End was built, with an unusually large retro choir forming a theatrical, hall-like space. St. Swithun was a hugely popular saint throughout the Middle Ages, attracting many pilgrims to Winchester. His shrine was immediately behind the high altar, elevated on a feretory platform in which is what is known as the Holy Hole, a passage allowing pilgrims to crawl closer to the saint's relics. The shrine was moved in 1476, its position now marked by a modern memorial, the original shrine having fallen victim to the Reformation. Only fragments survived. The feretory platform with the Holy Hole can still be seen. More than half of Winchester's 60 monks perished in the Black Death, and the chapter never approached the same size afterwards. In the aftermath of that trauma, the intensity of decorated Gothic was replaced in the nave by the lighter, airier, spare architecture of Perpendicular Gothic under Bishop William of Eddington. Further remodelling was carried out by master mason William Winford, commissioned by Bishop William Wickham, the founder of Winchester College. Winford refaced the nave walls, leaving clean lines, removed the gallery, combined it with the clerestory, and raised the arcade, in the process converting Romanesque semicircular arches into pointed Gothic arches, and replaced the timber roof with a stone vault. Winchester has 7 chantry chapels, more than any other English cathedral, all for former bishops, dating from the 14th to the 16th centuries. This is Bishop Henry Beaufort's chantry chapel on the south side of the presbytery. Henry Beaufort was the half-brother of Henry IV, whom he served as Chancellor. Among Winchester's many treasures is a beautifully carved font of Tournai marble, depicting some of the miracles attributed to St. Nicholas, patron saint of children and sailors amongst other things. A ship, shown on one panel, is the earliest known representation of a vessel with a fixed stern rudder. By the early 20th century, the cathedral was sinking into the waterlogged peat on which it stood and in imminent danger. It was saved largely thanks to William Walker, a qualified deep-sea diver, working over a period of 5 years from 1906 to 1911. In order to strengthen the foundations, the groundwater had to be drained, but its removal would have caused the building to collapse. To provide temporary support, 235 6-metre pits were dug around the southern and eastern perimeter. Walker went down and shored up the walls with bags of ready-mixed concrete, working 6 hours a day in a heavy diving suit, and with so much sediment in the water, working in near total darkness. Once the concrete was in place and had set, the groundwater was pumped out, allowing bricklayers access to rectify the damage to the foundations. Buttresses along the south wall completed the rescue. Each weekend, William Walker cycled home to see his family in Croydon, a round trip of some 150 miles. At a Thanksgiving service in 1912, held appropriately on St Swithun's Day, led by the Archbishop of Canterbury and a former Bishop of Winchester, Randall Davidson, William Walker was presented with a silver rose bowl by King George V. Walker died in the Spanish flu epidemic in 1918, aged just 49. Is commemorated by a statue in the cathedral. Next time, I'm going to take a look at Norwich Cathedral, which, despite restoration and rebuilding over the centuries, remains one of the most complete Romanesque churches in Europe. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.